I read somewhere that comparison is a thief of joy. That is true. Comparing yourself to others is a way that makes you feel inferior to others, sucks the joy out of your life and what you enjoy doing. If you do it unfairly, you will start to look at yourself as an inferior person. If you open up Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok, Facebook, start scrolling and seeing what other people are up to, mostly in these cases it can be FOMO, fear of missing out. You'll start to look at their lives as something so much greater than yours. And also start to look at celebrities and get enticed and feel like, wow, their highlight reel is so amazing. What's my life like? And lead to negative things. I have been subject to this, and I'm sure many of others have too. It's a natural thing to do because of how our human nature is. To tell you to stop comparing yourself to others is like telling you to stop looking around when you hear a noise. It's just a natural thing we do. We naturally look around us and measure our level based on how we perceive other people's levels are. This can result in two types of change. Either positive change or negative change. The difference in what type of change we enact is based on how we compare ourselves to others and what actions we take based on that comparison. So that stimuli, that natural reaction that we have to compare ourselves to others, how we perceive that and take action following that will depend on how you perceive it. Depends on you, obviously. So that's that kind of effect. It's important for you to consider, how are you looking at comparison? Are you judging yourself fairly compared to others or not? I have given advice about how you can better view your view on comparison so you can adopt good changes. There are a few tweaks you can make to your comparisons in order to make a fair comparison, because it's almost impossible to make a fair comparison because everyone is different, and that's where you draw the line. Everyone is different, and from there you start to understand that it's okay if we're doing different things. We've grown up a different way. We have different minds, etc. One thing I have mentioned is approaching comparisons with a bigger picture perspective. This means to look at the whole picture of a person, including both the positives and negatives of their growth, their potential circumstances, motivations, and environment. I say potential because you cannot know for certain. It's impossible unless you hear it from their mouth. And even then, we don't understand fully what's going on in our own lives. The whole point of this strategy is adjusting your perspective, because you may unfairly compare yourself to someone else. Not only taking into account the bigger picture, so you can come to an incorrect conclusion that can result in bad changes and views on yourself. Yeah. It's just important to understand that if you understand the concept of people have different things going on and people's lives ever changing, ever different, every individual is a different person, you can start to make more fair comparisons, because when I say that, is because theoretically that's what we should normally do, but practically we don't do that. We compare ourselves directly against the other person and we say their life's the same as ours. Why am I not in the same position as them? Or even you can be on the egotistical side of saying, look at us, we have the same life. I'm so far ahead of them. Very selfish of that person there. Very, very stupid. Because no one has the same life. And understanding that will help you both humble yourself and also pick yourself up if you are falling into doubt and self-pity and all of those things. I shared one method just to give an insight as to what you can do to slowly improve how you can compare yourself to others. And it is important to know your intention behind comparing yourself to someone else, so you can bring out that intention. Avoid doing it unnecessarily and causing stress in your own life. That simple question of why am I comparing myself to someone will break down so many barriers in your life, because once you start asking yourself a question like that, you figure out that Sometimes it's not even necessary. Maybe I'm just doing this out of envy or jealousy or just spite. Maybe it's just not for the right reasons. Maybe the reasons will make me more of an angry person, more of a jealous person, more of an egotistical person. So making clear with yourself your own intentions, because we don't naturally think, I intend to do this, and you say out loud. You just do things. Your subconscious mind deals with the intentions, but when you start to question your intentions beforehand, you figure out more of what type of person you are and what you should and shouldn't do. In this case, when you should and shouldn't compare yourself to someone else. The next important step after improving how you compare yourself to others is what actions you can take based on that comparison. I've talked about how important action is. Too much theoretical and preparation can lead to overthinking, perfectionism, and analysis paralysis. Man, that's advice I needed to hear 5 years ago. If you plan and prepare too many things, you miss the part of even doing stuff. You miss the part of following through on your plans. And that's why overthinking, perfectionism, and analysis paralysis are detrimental to your growth. Because once you start planning, you make plan 1. You start to think, I need a plan 2 in case this doesn't fall through. And then you get all the way to plan 200 and you realize it's been 4 years and I haven't done anything. So don't fall into that. Even if you don't feel fully prepared. This is to the overthinkers. If you don't feel fully prepared for something, do it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? What's already bad enough is that you're not acting. That's the worst that can happen in that scenario. But after you act, you've done better than not acting at all. That might not be for you, but it's for the people that need to hear that message. Taking one step can be the counter to all of that. When you take that step, know that you have made enough preparation, no matter how little, and that making mistakes is a part of growth and a part of a journey, no matter how bad. Even if you took 5 sloppy steps, it doesn't matter. Even if your steps were really bad, even if your plan overall was not good or the execution was very poor, it's better than not trying at all. Because you overthinkers, you will never do anything if that's your mentality. So do something, even if it's worse than the worst you can think of. And I'm not talking about crime. I hope, so that's my summary on that. Bonus one, we're going to do this one. This was one tied to that kind of, it was the one I wrote before, but it's too short for me to make a video on it. I thought I'd do that. Wishing you are what you were. I think that focusing too much on the past can become a barrier to you taking action now and changing your present. This is a similar thing, but instead of comparing yourself to others, you're comparing yourself to yourself unfairly. I went through this before. I had looked at my period. Let me stop there. I looked at a period of my life in 2021 where I worked very hard for a month and thought, how can I get back to that point and do those things again? However, that thought process is not conductive because you need to consider what was different back then. Think about your circumstances, motivations, and conditions at that time. Since you know yourself more than you know other people, you can do those comparisons. Are they different to now? Most likely, because things change. 4 years ago, how old was I? I was 18. A different life, a different perspective on things. And this was 3 years ago, I was 19. I was thinking about different things back then. And sometimes you shouldn't really compare an apple to an orange. You shouldn't. If you were to focus on what your current conditions and circumstances and motivations are now, you can make the necessary adjustments to your routine and create an effective routine to the future you want to create. So you can create an effective route, but based on what you want to achieve now, not what you want to achieve 4 years ago, because you've already achieved that or you've moved on from it. If you look back at your past with these lenses, then it makes it more conductive to your present because you're not thinking only about what you have done, but what was different back then. taking the whole picture, taking the whole cake, not just half of the cake. It is also important to understand that you cannot recreate moments in the past. An easy example is, if you're watching this video right now, the past 9 minutes, I cannot recreate that moment. No matter how well I talk, the time is already by. The timer has already gone by. It's 11:40 now. 10 minutes ago was 11:30. I can't get that time back. I can't speak the same, and I don't want to get too in depth on that point. We're going to get into the Matrix here, or the Inception. Things happen in an environment, in a period of time, and in a mindset. All of these things change, and whether you keep one or two of these is impossible to keep all three the same. So going on that point that every moment is different. If you have this mindset, then you will not get swayed or unmotivated by your past, and understand the meaning of you cannot change or control your past. Very important statement. And I would like to say that just doing this doesn't mean you won't get swayed or unmotivated by your past. It just helps. Instead, focus on using your past as a resource for learning, so you can create even greater moments that will be better lessons for your further growth. This cycle is healthy and provides you the extra steps good for growth. I hope this video has been informative. If it has, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know when you're watching this. Are you watching this 3 months down the line, a year down the line, 10 years down the line? Put it down in the comments.